Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we are doing a unit review video. If you don't know what this is the series where you guys send me your best Genshin Impact units and I rate them on a scale of 1 to 10 to determine who has the best Genshin Impact unit. Before we get into that though, if you would like an opportunity to get your own unit reviewed, all you have to do is go to my Discord, link in the description below. There is a channel in the Discord that is titled #UnitReview. In that channel will be instructions on how you can submit your own character for review. With that all wrapped up, let's get into the video. First up is Cav, and they want me to review their Kazuha. Let's get straight into things. Kazuha, level 90 out of 90. 1800 attack is quite a lot. That makes me think we're probably looking at like a DPS Kazuha or something. I don't know. It will be interesting. Let's look at the weapon. Mistbitters Reforged. I think that's still a good weapon for Kazuha regardless. But I think this is more for like main DPS C6 Kazuha. Is that what we're going to be seeing? I don't know. You do have 2-piece Viridescent, 2-piece Glad. That's pretty interesting. Constellation is 0, so probably not DPS Kazuha then. But talents are 5, 10, 10, which I think is pretty reasonable for him overall. Obviously, more optimally for a Kazuha, you do want that 4-piece Veneraire, as that's going to help lower the resistance of a lot of the characters on the field, or a lot of the enemies. That is his best in slot set. The 2-piece Glad can work if you're more prioritizing substats like EM, because I do think EM is really important for him, but it's not important enough to get rid of the 4-piece Viridescent set, because that is just such a nasty set on him. Let's look at some of the pieces though. Pretty decent piece to start us off. The substats are all good. Feather is also really good. It's just a couple low crit rate rolls and a couple low crit damage rolls, but other than that, really nice Feather. Sands, EM, that's exactly what we like to see. You got 11 recharge, 21 crit damage, 9 attack. EM Goblet as well, a really good EM Goblet too. Wait, that's actually crazy. Wait, hold up. That's an EM Goblet in the Viridescent set with crit rate, crit damage, attack? That's a nuts piece. Oh my goodness. If you guys don't know, EM pieces are actually the rarest pieces to get in all the goblets. They're more rare than any damage bonus goblet and more rare than all the basic ones like attack, defense, etc. So getting a piece like this is pretty incredible. And the hat, crit rate, crit damage, I don't like this especially. I think EM's more important here. Crit rate can be good if you're going for DPS Kazuha, but DPS Kazuha is really only functional at C6. I don't think you can really use DPS Kazuha before that, unless you're running him physical, and even that build's a bit of a niche build. But let's see the stats here. The stats are good. I mean, crit rate, crit damage is good. You got a fair amount of EM. I think you're probably prioritizing this Chihabaru swirl a little too much. The DPS on that is not the greatest in the world. Like, it's fine, but you don't need to put on things like crit rate and have like these crazy crit rate, crit damage pieces to like increase the DPS of that especially. I think you would rather just go for a full EM set, full Viridescent, get increased debuffs, and I think you'll find that'll help your team overall way more instead of just increasing Kazuha's damage by himself. But overall though, it's not a terrible Kazuha. Mistsplitters is a good weapon. I do think there are better weapons for him than Mistsplitters, but Mistsplitters is not bad at all. Gives that elemental damage bonus plus a little bit of crit damage. Talents are pretty perfect. You don't need to level up his normal attack too high. You can level it for a bit of extra scaling on the E, but overall it's not the most important thing in the world. Artifacts are all pretty decent. I would just like to see 4-piece Viridescent, but overall I think this Kazuha is pretty good. I'm gonna give you a solid 8 out of 10. Next up here we have Quack, and they wanted me to review their Tartaglia. Level 90 Tartaglia, 1800 attack, which is quite a lot. Also, 1100 defense, again, quite a lot. I see that you got the Viridescent Hunt, which I do like for him. I think Viridescent Hunt is definitely one of the better weapons, and is also the weapon that I personally use on Tartaglia. So I think this is a great option for him. Artifacts are going to be the 4-piece Heart of Depth, another great option for him. I don't know if it's its current best in slot, quote unquote, but I know it's good nonetheless. Constellation 0, that's fine, and talents are 10, 10, 10. We got the triple crown Tartaglia on deck. That's exactly what I like to see from my boy. He is one of my favorite characters in the game, and I'm hoping you got him on a good build here, because I love to see people build this character. Let's look at some of the pieces. That's such an unfortunate piece, man. 20% defense. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, that's such a sad piece, man. It has so many good stats, and you hit the worst one 3 times, I think. But overall, it's not a terrible piece. Got a bit of crit rate, a bit of ER. Not complete trash. The flower, ooh, 31 crit damage. Really, really nice there. That's going to pair well with the Viridescent Hunt, which probably gives you enough crit rate, since I believe Tartaglia also scales with crit rate. The feather, oh boy, another good piece. 2 crit rate, 1 crit damage. A little bit more HP than you would personally like on Tartaglia, but it's not a bad piece. The sands, oh my gosh, 17% crit rate. That is pretty nuts. I mean, obviously the other stats all pretty dead, but the fact that you roll in the crit rate 3 or 4 times, it's pretty nutty. That's a really good piece, actually. Again, I think a lot of these pieces have a lot of HP on them, and I could see them working like really well with someone like a Yelan instead of Tartaglia, but I rate them nonetheless. The goblet, attack percent goblet, that's unfortunate. I imagine you probably just haven't been able to get a hydro damage goblet on set yet, and I hope you're in the works for that. I know that can be hard to do. Let's check some of these stats. So you got 1800 attack, 67 185, nothing to laugh at. That's actually pretty good for Tartaglia. You got 128 energy recharge and 43 hydro damage bonus. 43, wait, how do you have 43? 15% from this. How else are you getting hydro damage bonus? Does he have a passive talent that increases hydro damage bonus? Wait, I actually have to double check this because I'm not sure. As far as I can tell, I've looked at everything online and I don't see anything that would suggest extra hydro damage bonus, so I don't know how you have an extra 30%. Maybe somebody can help me with this in the comments below, because you only have the 15% from Heart of Depth, and that's it. How would you get that extra 30? I don't know. Let me know in the comments below, because I can't figure this out. Maybe there's a passive talent or something with this weapon that I just don't know about. But overall, it's still a pretty good Tartaglia. I mean, there's not much to really laugh at here. I mean, you got a really good set on him. You got perfect talent. In my opinion, a perfect weapon, but other people may argue. All around, really good Tartaglia. I'm going to give you a solid 9 out of 10. Let's move on to the next build. Next up, we have an AR60 player, Noah, whose bio is C2 Scaramouche Haver. So we are looking at a tiny bit of a whale here, but nonetheless, we're going to see how good the Scaramouche is. Were they lying in the bio? Do they have C2 Scaramouche? They definitely do. C2 Scaramouche. Now, I'm going to be honest, I haven't done much research into his constellations, so I'm going to try to avoid talking on them too much, because I personally am not a whale in terms of constellations, and I don't really go for any of them. So I'm going to try to avoid talking on those too much. Anyways, 2000 attack, which is pretty good. That's a lot of attack. I assume you probably have a signature weapon then. You have Kogro's Variety. Interesting. Definitely not a bad weapon for Scaramouche, or really any DPS Catalyst character. I'd say this is definitely one of the better ones. Artifacts are going to be 2-piece Viridescent, 2-piece Glad. Not bad at all. Constellation, we've seen this. It is 2. And talents are 10, 10, 10. Okay. That is exactly what we like to see. Let's check some of these artifacts. How good are they? Pretty good flower. Got a lot of crit damage. Got a lot of crit rate and some attack. Feather. Oh, big 30 crit damage. Let's go with also perfect substats. Great stuff here. The sands. Oh my gosh. We've had like 3 perfect pieces back to back. That is crazy. 26 crit damage, 7 crit rate. Great piece. Anemo damage bonus. Ooh. This one's a little unlucky. For AR60, I'm kind of shocked that you do not have a better anemo damage bonus goblet yet. You must have just got really unlucky, or maybe using it on other characters. I don't know. Let's check the hat. Oh, that's a tough hat. Yeah, that's not the greatest ever. It can definitely be improved. 42 flat defense and then 2 defense percent rolls. Ugh, that is tough. That is really tough. I'm sorry about that, my friend. Let's check the split. So you have 81, 221 is really good, but you got to keep in mind a lot of that is coming from Kogro's Variety. Obviously the artifacts are good too. It's just with Kagura's variety and the Scaramouche Ascension stat that is going to help quite a bit. You also have 61% anno damage bonus and 105 recharge. I don't think Scaramouche cares much about recharge because most of his DPS is coming from his E ability. I do know that this artifact set has kind of gone out of style. I think the new best one for him is the upgraded normal attack speed one in the new domain, which I cannot remember the name of for the life of me, but I think that is his new best in slot set. This is not a bad option though. I mean, none of these stats are bad for him. The only artifact critique I have for you really is this piece. Definitely could use an improvement here. 10% crit rate. I mean, honestly, you don't even need crit rate all that much because you have 81. 81, I would almost say is overdoing it, but I guess not. You can always have more crit rate, but I would definitely say you want to prioritize crit damage and attack percent more than crit rate on your substats. But overall, really good Scaramouche. You got a great weapon for him. You have perfect talents. You even got the C2, which doesn't count for ratings because we don't count for whale things. Overall, great Scaramouche. I am going to give you a solid 9 out of 10. Let's move on to the next unit. Next up here, we have Sarin, and they wanted to review their Chongyun. Level 90 Chongyun. Now that's pretty crazy for a Chongyun. You don't really see that very often. You usually keep him at 80. You throw down his, his big burst. Sometimes some people have him on some really cool Cryo and Fusion builds. But other than that, you really don't see Chongyun's built all that often. So I'm kind of excited to see what you have here. I really like this character's design, but in terms of his gameplay, it's a little lackluster to say the least. What's his weapon? You got him on Serpent's Spine. I think that's a good weapon for him, but I don't want to speak too soon. I think there's a chance we're going to be seeing a DPS Chongyun here, but I'm not too sure. Let's look at the artifacts. That's going to tell us everything we need to know. Okay, 2-piece Blizzard, 2-piece Gladiator. That is a mix set, so it could really mean either. You could be going for Burst / E Chongyun, or that could still be for DPS Chongyun. I don't know. Constellation is 2. You don't got the C6 yet, which is a little unfortunate if you are a Chongyun main, but I never suggest rolling for 4 stars. Not a good use of your primos. And your talents are 10, 10, 10. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this guy is a dedicated Chongyun player then. My goodness, that's dedication. Okay, let's take a look at some of these pieces. I'm interested to see what you're kind of going for here. I think Chongyun works best universally with this sort of set and just the basic crit rate, crit damage hat, cryo damage bonus goblet, and attack percent sands. I think it's just best overall for him. So I'm interested to see if that's what we're going to be doing here or if it's going to be physical goblet. Let's see. Cryo damage bonus. Okay, so we are prioritizing that cryo damage bonus for his cryo damage infusion with his E. So that is a very good decision there. The hat. Ooh, that's not bad. I mean, 3 attack percent, 1 crit rate. Not a terrible piece. That's a really nice piece. My goodness, that's a good piece. 10% crit rate, 25% crit damage. Gonna bring you up to like 45% crit value. Yeah, really nice piece there. Feather is pretty nice too. Those are some really good subs, my goodness. I don't think I acknowledged this, but the subs on this piece were also really good. The sands? Yeah, pretty good. For an off sands, it's a little niche, but not bad at all. Let's check your split. 76, 195. That's pretty good considering I don't think Chongyun ascends with any crit stats. 109 recharge, which is pretty low for sub DPS Chongyun, but it's not bad if you're running him on field this often and trying to place down absolutely huge attacks with the Serpent Spine. Maybe do some cryo infusion hits. That could be pretty fun. And then you got the 61% cryo damage bonus. Very nice Chongyun. It's interesting because you don't see this very often. This is something that I'd be interested to play just to see how it worked. Because I'm not sure if you would use Chongyun on field. I feel like you probably would considering you took his normal attack to level 10. Maybe use some sub DPSs for freeze, like maybe a Yelan, or maybe if you want to do melt, you would do a Zhongling. Lots of versatility here with this Chongyun. So I'm going to say overall, for a generalist build, it's not too bad. I'm going to give it a solid 9.3 out of 10. Let's move on to the next build. Next up here we have Simon, and they wanted me to review their Hu Tao. They are AR55 level 80 characters, so they are just going to be the slightest bit weaker. So we got to bring our ratings down to match their AR level. So we got to keep in mind, level 90 may not be worth it yet for AR-55s. I don't go level 90 till a little later in the game because it's really not worth it. So it's not going to let us impact our score. But let's see what we're working with here. Weapon? Dragon's Bane. Interesting. Definitely not a bad option for Hu Tao. I think this is one of her better free-to-play weapons. But if you are spending money on the game, I wouldn't use this. I think you would rather use something like a Deathmatch or a Blackcliff Polearm instead. But if you are free-to-play, this is a good weapon for her. Mainly for team comps where you're going to be using her, obviously, for Hydro and Pyro reactions. Artifacts is going to be the 4-piece Crimson Witch. That is a great choice. Very good, again, with doing that vaporize damage. Constellation 0, no C1, a little unfortunate. That means you are going to have to try a little harder when playing her and matching the jump timing and whatever. Talents are 675, a tiny bit low. I would like to see, for AR-55, I'd want to see probably 777 or 888. You can comfortably level up all her talents. I do think you have it in the right order, though. I do think you start with her E, and then her normal attack, and then burst. But there's a bit of debate there. You can really do what you want with your Hu Tao. As long as you're raising them all, that's all you need to do. Let's check some of these artifacts. So, for AR-55, I'm not going to expect too much, because artifacts are pretty bleak at the start of the game. So let's see here. Wow. Man, I spoke too soon. I spoke way too soon. How in the world? Oh, it's so sad if you're grinding a domain like Crimson Witch and then you get a piece like this, but it's in the other set. That's so unfortunate, but this is an absolutely nasty piece. You should not have a piece like this at AR-55. Not at all. That's better than any feather on my whole account, and I've been playing for like 2 years. That is crazy. Sands. Yeah, that's more what I expected. This is what I want to see from an AR-55. 1,000 flat HP. Unfortunate. It is HP Sands, so it works for her, but yeah, this is definitely replaceable. The Goblet. Oh, now this is what I expect to see from an AR-55 player. There we go. These are the pieces I expect to see. Again, not great, not perfect. You got some HP on there, you got some recharge. Preferably, though, you'd want to see more crit rate, crit damage instead of stats like flat defense and energy recharge, as those aren't important or aren't as important on her as those crit stats are. The hat, oh my gosh, that is a nasty piece for her. You got HP on there and 3 or 4 crit rate rolls. Damn, dude, yeah, that's a really nice hat for her. And the last piece is the flower, which is not bad at all. Pretty perfect substats there. So what it seems like from these pieces, you got 3 pretty godly pieces with near perfect substats on each, and then you just got 2 pieces that completely fall off. I mean, this is pretty copium. This is even more copium. I get HP isn't bad for Hu Tao, and flat HP honestly helps her more than it would about any other character. But still, you really want to see that crit rate, crit damage more than you want to see flat HP. For AR-55, though, it's not a bad Hu Tao at all. I mean, some of these artifacts are absolute god pieces. And the weapon, Dragon's Bane, I mean, it's not terrible. Preferably, you would want it level 90, but you're not there yet, and that is okay. Your split is 44, 196, a little low on the crit rate. That's kind of surprising because you do have 14% on this and then 17 crit rate on this and 3.9, no crit rate on the pyro damage bonus goblet, and only 1 crit rate roll on here. So you are a tiny bit low on the crit rate. You would like to get just up to 60 or 70%, I'd say, is a good split for her with 200 crit damage. But obviously for that, you're going to need to probably get a new weapon like Deathmatch, which if you are going to go Battle Pass and get Deathmatch, I do think it's a good choice. It's probably the most cost-efficient thing you can do in the game. But if you don't have the money, I completely understand. Not everybody does. But overall, pretty solid Hu Tao. I think we're going to give you a pretty solid 8 out of 10. Let's move on to the next build. Okay, we got one last review for today, and it's going to be from Shrumble, who wants me to review their Zhongling. Now, this is an AR-50 Zhongling, so we have to keep that in mind. This is not going to be the craziest build ever. The person also did mention that they were free to play, so this is not going to be one of those crazy Zhongling builds with 4 emblem and a catch, probably. If it is, I'd actually be really impressed, but let's see here. 217 EM, pretty good for a Zhongling. 1100 attack, though, is just a tad low. Let's see the weapon. Favonius Lance, that is not a bad option. Obviously, more optimally, you would want the catch. Catch level 80 is an absolutely insane weapon for her and really any sub DPS that uses a pole arm. But Favonius Lance is not a bad alternative at all. Except I do think this really highly depends on refinement. With higher refinements, this weapon gets a lot better. So I would recommend going for a couple refinements on this if you can. Do not wish on the weapon banner. But if you're able to get a couple from a character banner, make sure to refine this. Artifacts is just going to be a bunch of off pieces, which honestly, for AR-50, not bad. You got at least one set on her, which is something. Constellation is 5. That's pretty impressive for free to play. That kind of shocks me, honestly. These constellations are all really solid upgrades for her. So that's exactly what we like to see. Talents are going to be 3, 9, 10. Don't worry about leveling up her normal attack. Keep that at 3. You can level up Guoba. And obviously her main priority is going to be her burst, which I see you already know this stuff because you got it level 10 and the Guoba level 9. That is perfect. Let's check some of these artifacts. This is going to be interesting. I do think you should prioritize artifact stats over the builds themselves. So I'm interested to see if that's what you're doing here or if you're just working with what you got. Let's see. I mean, for 50, sure. You got some EM, you got some crit rate, you take it where you are. Wow. Whoa, whoa, whoa. For 50, that's nasty. I don't know how you get pieces like this. On Polar only, I don't even think I have a feather comparable to this. That is crazy. The Sands? Energy Recharge? Hey, not a bad choice. You also got some EM on here too. Energy Recharge is really important for getting that Zhongling burst back on cooldown. But you do have Favonius, so you probably are getting it back quite frequently. I'm almost questioning if you'd want something else here. But the thing is, the Zhongling burst is quite expensive. So I actually think Energy Recharge was the right choice here. Plus you got more EM. Hey, not a bad piece. The Goblet, Pyro damage bonus. Pretty copium piece, but you did get 2 Energy Recharge. So it's not the worst thing in the world. And the hat, crit damage, crit rate attack, EM. Hey, this is a solid piece. I honestly like where you're going with this. Once you start getting that Crimson Witch set, maybe you'll go for emblem, get a 2-piece emblem. I think for right now, those domains, I don't even think you can get the best artifacts yet. For right now, hey, this is pretty good. I like what you got here. Let's check the stats. 40, 158 for AR-50. That's really nice. 200 recharge, a 46 pyro damage bonus. Overall, hi Guoba, I'd say this build is actually pretty solid. For where you are in the game, I would not expect stats like that and artifacts like that, honestly. I know at AR-50, my artifacts were complete and utter garbage. I think I had a ton of 4 stars. I was not making the right decisions at all. And I think you are. You really are making the right decisions. It's just about, you know, going towards that 4-piece emblem. I think you're probably grinding this domain right now with the Clam set and probably the Arataki Ito set. Yep. And I think after you're done your Arataki Ito pieces, you should probably move to going to that 4-piece emblem for Zhongling, as that's going to help increase her DPS potential by a lot. But overall, very solid Zhongling. I think we're going to give it a pretty solid 8 out of 10. And with that all wrapped up, that is going to be the end of our video for today. If you guys enjoyed this video and you want to see more in the future, please consider subscribing or leaving a like down below. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.